So I've been on the fence about getting a pair of AirPods, let alone AirPod Pro, since they've been out because the price tag has always seemed so steep that with so many options in the earbud space, they just haven't enticed me enough to buy until now. Hey everyone, Steven here, and today I'll be reviewing my first pair of AirPods with the Airpod Pro 2. Now I'll be departing from my normal review style for this, and I'll be going through all of the features and my take on them as a first-time user, starting first with the feel of these, which is solid. And at $250, I wouldn't expect any less here. I mean, these are expensive, like really expensive, and are in fact the most expensive pair of wireless earbuds I've ever bought or used in my life. The earbuds come with the same tips on them as the first generation, but they've now included an extra small pair, which is nice for those people with extra small ear canals. These have the medium ear tips on by default, and they fit my ears great. It's a snug fit with the ear tips having a soft feel to them and not creating any ear ache with long-term usage. These never feel like they're going to fall out when working out, doing yard work, or going out hiking with a little bit of jumping around either. The earbuds have a lot of new features on them compared to the first gen, such as the touch controls, where this one, the layout is a little bit different. Takes a little bit of getting used to, as you actually have to hold one part and then kind of stroke another.
That's what she said.
Michael, please.
I'm not a big fan on touch controls with wireless earbuds in general, and here it takes some getting used to, but the way this is set up does prevent unwanted false control triggers, which for me is a big plus. I'll personally take a little bit of an adjustment period learning these controls over the constant accidentally pausing or skipping songs that I've had with other wireless earbuds. The earbuds have redesigned inward-facing microphones, which Apple says works with voice enhancement algorithms to better recognize and articulate your voice so it sounds more natural when you're on phone calls and video calls. These are by far the best sounding wireless earbuds for calls I've ever used, and my wife helped me test these out, and she actually didn't even realize I was even on a device until I told her. She's been my tester for all of my wireless earbuds, and she said these are hands down the best sounding, and after switching to being on the other end of the phone call where she was actually using these, I can attest she's absolutely right. It sounds like the person is just talking into their phone and not on any device, which is what I've been looking for in wireless earbuds. Most of the ones I've used, it always sounds like you're on a device and the person can tell immediately. With these, that is not the case. Next is the main reason I was interested in buying these, and that's the new H2 chip and the noise cancellation, which Apple says is 2 times better than the first generation AirPod Pros. Now I haven't used those, so I can't do a comparison here, but I can tell you these are the best noise canceling wireless earbuds I've ever used. This thing is seriously impressive. I've noticed it overall drops the ambient noise around me when I'm at the gym or going on a walk to almost zero. It feels kind of odd in a way, as if you are stepping into a completely empty, silent box. Having used these for a couple weeks now, I've started to pick up a pattern of the sound frequencies this does the best with, and fans are a big one here. You won't hear a fan at all, while certain noises such as loud bangs or people talking, it'll let that through a little bit just to keep you aware of your surroundings, but it still is diminishing that enough that in certain regards, if somebody's not really close to you, it just feels like you're in an empty box, like I mentioned. It's really hard to describe just how good these are, but I'm very impressed here. The transparency mode is equally impressive, with it highlighting voices in a way I've not experienced with other earbuds. With other wireless earbuds, I can sometimes get away with leaving the earbuds in with transparency mode on and having a quick conversation, but I usually end up just taking the earbuds out in certain places, like the gym. These, on the other hand, I haven't needed to remove them at all, regardless of where I'm at. The clarity it can create specifically for voices in this mode while still playing music is top notch. Using this mode while not playing anything, I notice it's almost as if you don't even have the earbuds in, which is really cool. And to me, it sounds like they're using the microphone and the speaker to essentially capture whatever the sound is around you at certain frequencies and then just amplify that into your ear. It's very unique and very, very good. With this, the clarity from the voice of the TV playing when I was talking with my wife was almost the exact same with the earbuds in or out, which was really cool. Now these do drop certain noises such as sirens or power tools down, so it doesn't amplify that into your ear while still allowing you to hear the sounds around you. Apple says these reduce noise at 48,000 times per second, which I would love to see the tech behind that because that just seems mind-bogglingly high, but I can attest to the fact that it does what Apple says with reducing those harsh sounds, and it does it very well. Going out for a bike ride, I was able to hear cars approaching, which is always a fear I have when listening to music and riding my bike, but the sound of my chain on my bike over time dropped away as if the earbuds adjusted to the sound frequency, which was interesting. Now that might just be in my head, but the bike chain sound not being audible, but cars and people being audible is great and gives me peace of mind when I'm out riding. The wind, on the other hand, won't get blocked out depending on the direction that it's hitting the earbuds, and that's just from what I noticed. So if it's hitting the mic just right, you're going to hear every bit of it. It doesn't seem to amplify it necessarily, but it doesn't get rid of it either. I did enable the new personalized spatial audio with head tracking also, which you have to take a scan of your head from the side with your iPhone, and I initially didn't notice any difference until I spent more time listening to podcasts. For music, it doesn't seem to do much from what I can tell, but for podcasts, this blew me away. I don't know how the software decided to place the source of the audio, but once it's there, it feels as if you're in the room with the actual audio source. So listening to a podcast with two people talking, it feels like I'm sitting in the room with them. Now the source moves with you, so if you start a podcast in one room and walk into another, it doesn't stay in the first room, leaving you with an echo from that first room. Instead, it places you in one spot within a virtual audio space, and turning your head away to the left or the right shifts the audio in real time, but not just like basic stereo, this shifts with any angle to that source you turn your head. So as I mentioned earlier, typically with music, I don't notice this at all. It was with a podcast. And initially I thought the podcast I was listening to was having technical difficulties on their end when I first discovered that this was going on, because I'd been in one set position for the first 5 minutes with no change in the audio. But once it clicked what was actually going on, I had fun just shifting my head around to hear how it would change the sound. It literally feels like you're in the room with whoever you're listening to in a way I've not experienced with any other pair of wireless earbuds before. This also translates to gaming, and playing FPS or RPGs is where I noticed it most, especially when your character is moving through a 3D environment. I don't typically game much on my phone, but I haven't heard too many reviews talk about the gaming experience, and I think it's really good with the spatial audio and noise cancellation enabled. It feels very immersive, which is what I want out of a regular headset when gaming, and now I can get it out of earbuds. This translates to other devices with Bluetooth like the Steam Deck, and not just your phone. I just got the Steam Deck in, and these have been incredible to use with that when it works. I don't know if this is a Steam Deck problem or Apple problem though when it doesn't work. So a side note about the Steam Deck is certain games that Steam hasn't officially certified to work on the Steam Deck might cause some issues with the audio, so it can be hit or miss when trying out those games. Certified ones typically work great, but there are some issues with AAA titles sometimes. A downside using these though is if you want to switch to a different audio mode, you will need to disconnect from the Steam Deck and then reconnect to your phone to change the setting, and then connect back to the Steam Deck, making it a bit of a process to make any changes since this works only through iOS. I'm hoping this gets resolved down the road through an update to the Steam Deck or the AirPods, whichever one is causing this particular issue. When these do work though, the sound is just as good on the Steam Deck as it is on the phone, and I do prefer these over my other wireless earbuds. Apple says this dynamic head tracking is usable in group FaceTime calls now, so it feels like you're in the room with your family and friends, and after testing this out, I can say that's absolutely true. And you actually don't have to be on a FaceTime call with a group of people. If you're just doing a FaceTime call with anybody, it will actually do this. And I can't see myself doing any FaceTime calls now without this unless I have to, because it's such a good feature. Moving on, let's look at the case and the many quality of life improvements Apple has made here. Starting with the battery life, the AirPods have up to 6 hours of listening time with noise cancellation enabled, which is one more than the first generation, and 30 hours total listening time with the case with noise cancellation enabled, which is 6 more hours than the first generation. Apple's test for this had the volume at 50%, which is noted on their website. Overall, the battery life here is solid and what you will find with most wireless earbuds on the market. There ends up being a trade-off with trying to increase battery life of wireless earbuds as it increases the weight and overall size of the earbuds and the case. An example of this would be the VenQ Alpha X200, which has a total of 120 hours of playback time with the case and 7 hours with the earbuds, but the case with the earbuds almost weighs a quarter of a pound. And the earbuds are the bulkiest I've ever used. So here I'm a bit disappointed these don't have just a little more battery life, but I know that would mean an increase in weight and potentially the size, which Apple wouldn't want to do. Charging this, you have the Lightning port still, but this is now compatible with MagSafe and works with your Apple Watch charger, which is really cool. It can eliminate the need to keep more cables around if you just use MagSafe. The case hold is very strong to the MagSafe charger, which is nice to see, but the watch charger not so much. I'm assuming most people aren't jerking the case around when it's charging, but keep that in mind if it will be shifting with the watch charger for any reason because it might disconnect. The case has a lanyard loop, which I don't personally use, but I can see that being of use to some people with a minor catch that I'll talk about in a little bit. The case and the iPods are IPX4 rated also, so they are sweat and dust resistant. It's not the best rated out there for earbuds that I've used when compared to some of the cheaper ones especially, but I don't expect to need more for earbuds to be honest. Last is a big one, which is the speaker on the case and new U1 chip that allows you to use Find My with these with high precision. The speaker can play a chime to help you locate the case, and the Find My feature here is really good. Now, I had an issue with trying to use this over Wi-Fi, and I don't know what was causing that or if everyone will actually have that same issue, but it wouldn't recognize where the case was until I was a couple feet away. But once I switched back to 5G, it maxed out at 30 feet before I ran out of space inside of my house. This is such a great quality of life feature in my opinion, as I've always misplaced my earbuds, and being able to quickly locate them instead of spending 5 to 10 minutes looking around is awesome. The quality of life improvements here altogether make this such a great package and worth buying for anyone that's been on the fence like I had been with buying the Airpod Pros. The last part here, I want to cover a couple of areas of improvement I think Apple can still make, starting with the fact that these still only come in white. With the second generation here, I was hoping we would at least get the space gray they have with the phones, but nope, we still only have the glossy white, which not only stains over time, but the glossy finish here scratches so easy. I got the back of the case scratched up in the first 3 days. Even a matte finish here, like the back of the phones, would have been a welcome change just so the case wouldn't get so scratched up. I ended up getting a silicone case, but that's where the ability to use the MagSafe and watch charger can get compromised. Of course, all of these cases will be different, and I'm sure some of them out there work really well with the MagSafe and iWatch charger, but it can be a gamble. My case covers the lanyard loop also, which I think it's a nice touch they put it on the case, but I don't think most people will have the case bare attached to anything. I just think that's such a big risk that most people aren't willing to make because, again, they know this thing is going to get so scratched up. With this, most of the cases, if you do buy a silicone case or anything like that, they're going to have an opening for the lanyard loop, but some might not, and some actually come with a lanyard loop already built into it, so now you have two options with it. The case basically feels like Apple knows you're going to end up putting some type of sleeve on it, so why mess with changing the color or making it more durable? Last thing I wish Apple would improve is the ability to adjust the EQ settings. Now, that's not to say the audio is bad by any means. It's quite the opposite actually, as it's the best sound of wireless earbuds I've used, but having the ability to customize the audio would be awesome. Now, some apps like Spotify have EQ settings you can use inside of the app, but that only applies when you're actually using that app. There are some workarounds you can use to adjust the audio a little bit, and I'll have a link for an article covering those in the description, but it's still not the same as just having the ability to do it through the AirPod settings. Presets here and EQ customization both are something I hope they add down the road through a software update. To wrap all of this up, I am a big fan of the new Airpod Pros as a first-time adopter, and I finally think it's time for anyone that's been on the fence to jump in and get these. I just don't think you're going to be disappointed. The big updates with the H2 chip to the noise cancellation and transparency mode, along with the rich sound these have and the many quality of life improvements the case has, make the Airpod Pro 2s not only the best version to date, but to me it's the first version that on paper and in person feel like they live up to the Pro name. So that's going to be it for this one, everybody. Hopefully at this point, I've got my point across that I really do like the AirPod Pro 2s here. And I'm going to have a link for this in the description if you want to pick it up. If you have any questions about these, let me know in the comment section. Hit the like button for me to help the video out. And if you want to follow along with all of my content, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.